All right, well, let's give Fred a head. All right, I'm going to start over here in my Create tab and just go for a sphere and just drag out a sphere and right click. And so then I'm going to go to my Modify tab, and I think I want that radius to be about 1 foot. Keep it nice and simple. That'll be a good size for him. And the segments, I want more segments. I want like about 64 segments so that we've got a lot of stuff to work with. That should be good. And finally, what I'm going to do is, since I'm going to be messing around with this, I want to make it an editable mesh. And I want to name it Fred Head, because it is Fred's head after all. All right. And so finally what we'll do is let's go ahead and isolate it by going down here to the isolate toggle. There it is. Okay, so now that we have all that, what I want to do is I want to put this into the center of the world. By putting things into the center, it just makes things a lot easier, because then other things you can center out and it puts it exactly where you think it should go. All right, well, the first thing that we want to do is we want to give Fred a mouth. So I'm going to go here to my front viewport. Here's what we're going to do. We need to give Fred a material. So go to my material editor and make a sub-object, multi-sub-object, there it is. And I'm going to just go ahead, assign that to Fred right off the bat. I'm going to call it Fred. And I'm going to give it, I'm not sure exactly how many I'll need, so I'm not going to set the number right now, but I'll give myself at least a few standard materials to play with. Remember, it's just right down here where it says none. I click on that. Then when it comes up, I go to where the standard is, double click, and that gives me a standard material. Okay, good enough. I'm going to give the mouth a material. Could make it black, and I might change it to black, but I think I'll just make it sort of a, medium light red to start with. And the second material, I think I'll make that just sort of a creamy white color. I know Fred's brown, and who knows what Fred will end up being. He was just made that chocolate brown just because that's how he was randomly made. Okay, and we're just going to say, okay, we'll be putting this material all over Fred here in the very near future. All right, so back to this. First thing I want to do, let's see, what is this guy? So I select the whole element over here, and I want to make sure it's got a material ID of 2. Yes, that was a good guess that would be right. So that is all 2, and that is all good. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go to my polygons, and I'm going to start drawing out a mouth. So instead of being on my move tool, I'm going to move over here to my select object tool. Now I'm pretty sure I've shown you this before, but I want to make sure that you know that this ignore back facing, sometimes you're going to want it on, sometimes you're going to want it off. In this case, I'm going to want it on, because otherwise, if I select something here, come around to the other side, you'll see I've selected over there too, and I don't want that. So I've got ignore back facing on, and so now when I select this, let's see, maybe right about here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good. And if I look around the back, hopefully, yep, nothing. Alrighty. And let's assign this material ID of 1, because that's the color that we made the lips. Okay, so now we can see that we've got that. And so to make a smile, what I would do is I would go ahead and on my vertices, I would use soft select. Okay, remember that soft select? And I would just open that up, and I would say use soft select, and I would maybe choose these 2 vertices over here, and control, and choose these ones over here. Okay, and you can see that I've soft selected, well, almost everything, right? So over here in the fall off, We want to pull that down, selecting less, 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 less. We're gonna play a lot with soft select here in these next couple tutorials. Anyways, and you can see I can select more or less of it, just like we kind of did with the chairs. All right, so I'm going to select a little bit less, and I'm going to take my move tool and made him smile. Then I'd be stuck with that smile for like ever. And I don't want to be stuck with that smile. In fact, I want to be able to give him different expressions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start animating him. How you do that is you come down here. You can see where the timeline is. We haven't worked on this yet. Okay, and down here, you'll see what's called the auto. See that auto button? Click that. Everything turns red around the viewport and across the timeline. That is the auto key. More on that in a much later video. So anyways, I've got these selected, and what I can do is I can go over here. Let's say move this slider. You see this is the slider right here. And I'll move it just over to, let's say, 10. That'll be convenient. And then I could pull up. And that's all good. And then, so if I like that, I can just keep it like that, turning off my auto key and continue to work away. But if I wanted him to have just that straightforward expression, I could just move that slide over there and you can see it's back to how it was. Okay, I'm actually going to get rid of this keyframe here just by, see, drawing a marquee around it and saying delete. Okay, so we're not going to get heavy into animation right now, just a few basics to get us started. So, let's go here, turning on our auto key again. Go to 10. With those vertices selected, I'm going to go here and Control. I'm going to go here. I've got those selected. And so we're going to start playing with this soft select a little bit. So as you know, you can take the fall off and you can bring it out or down, selecting more or less. But also you can do things with the how that works, both the pinch and the bubble. Here, let me just show you. So right now it's set just kind of in its standard mode with the pinch being 0 and the bubbles being 0, and the fall off is, well, whatever you make it. And so if I was to pull up the corners of that smile, there it is. That's a cute smile, nothing wrong with that. But what if I want it to be a little bit different? Okay, what I could do is, let's say, go with the bubble right here. And I'm going to bring the bubble up to 0.5, let's say. And you'll see that that's going to change the way that smile looks a little bit. Maybe that's even the opposite of what I wanted. What about if I was to go to all the way to 1, making it almost a perfect circle? Well, now that's really the opposite of what I wanted it to be. So instead, I'm going to bring this back down to 0, and I'm going to play with the pinch, and that's something that we haven't played with before. So right now it's at 0. What if I brought the pinch up to, let's say, 0.5? Okay, you would see that what happens is that it's going to affect around here, around the actual vertices more, and out here less. Kind of the opposite of what the bubble did. So now when I pull it up, oh, you can see it's a much rounder smile. Let's say if I was to go all the way to 1, you would see that's even affecting the edges that much more. I think I'll just go back to like 0.5. That'll be fine. Okay, and I'm going to pull it up a little bit. And there's my little closed mouth smile. All good. And that has now set a keyframe. So when I go here, I can move that slider. Now, if I wanted to go back to just going flat, instead of pulling these down again, what I could do is go over here to my original keyframe at 0, all the way down here at 0, click on that. You see how it turns white. Okay, well that's once it's been selected now. That's just what it looks like when it's been selected. I can shift copy it like I can do so many other things. I'll just hold down my shift key and I'll take and I'll move that along. And you can see I'll take it all the way to 20. That'd be good. And so then when I can go from 0 to smile and back down to 0. Okay, so good enough. And I'm going to turn off my auto key and turn off my soft select for now and go back to the top level.